Good afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday, November 5th, 2022. This video will be an outlook for the week of November 6th until the 11th, including Sunday's Globex session in that. Before we get started, I want to just zoom out for a second, and from there we can actually get into how I expect the week to go. So what we're looking at here is kind of June's accumulation, the sell-off to a new low of the year at 36.39. Sort of distribution here, moving it up, running stops from that June area, accumulating again, selling off, backfilling, and then again hitting another new low of the year. A new low of the year here at 35.90-ish. I want to just make this a little bit clearer. Let's throw up the drawings for you guys. Here we go. So you can see an accumulation, selling to new low of the year, distribution, ramping it up, running stops from June, accumulating again, backfilling, and then selling off to the new low of the year. Accumulation, this feels like a mini version of what we saw back in that June to September time. Again, accumulating just like we did back in June, selling to new low of the year like we did in June. Distribution, once again, a little bit higher. Distribution back there. Accumulation like we did in August. And then we're getting the sell to around this area. So that sell to around that area. And now the backfill of this accumulation, and I will be looking for a sell-off to the new low of the year. So what does that look like a little more specifically? So you might want to screenshot this or something, whatever, keep it to the side. What does that look like specifically? Let's also keep in mind we got some major news hitting the tape this week. Ignoring FOMC's muster on Monday, Tuesday are the congressional elections. That's happening all day. We might have a little bit of a more volatile session, but nothing crazy. The real news is Thursday's CPI hitting at 8:30. That is going to be very, very major. Let's just remember last time we had CPI come out, that was when we had the major sell-off here, where during Globex, I believe it got to 41.76, and that session, sorry, I was trying to gather where I'm at. Let me throw on the ETH. There we go. Yeah. There we go. We sold from 41.76. Sorry, 41.74, 41.76. There we go. 41.76. We sold off that entire Tuesday down to 3,900-ish. That's a big sell-off. Let's. How many points is that? That was a 200-ish point move down, which then continued downwards for another several hundred points. So it's not unreasonable to expect something similar here, where we have a backfill off of that. This is just the second half of the year's VWAP at 38.91. We developed a weekly POC at 38.82. Last month's close, 82.71. The first half of 2022 value area low sitting at 75.25. So just this entire sort of lower area is of interest. We would also still be inside of last week's value area, not to mention that this FOMC high ended up being lower during the RTH. This week of the FOMC high ended up being lower than the week of the last FOMC high. So we couldn't even break these very mechanical highs where you would expect some stops to be. So we didn't even break that. So what I'll be looking for is that backfill, and then I expect a crap out for the rest of the week. At least down to 35.90, where we found that Globex bid on the 16th of October, so almost a month ago. But I think it might be ambitious to say we hit a new low of the year by the end of the week, just because we'll only have Thursday and Friday to do so. But heading into December, I don't think it's unreasonable to now expect us to get down to that 3,400 area, 34.96 half. This being the pandemic low to high, just the mid of that area. I think that's reasonable, 34.96 half, or maybe 33.93.75, that being the pre-pandemic all-time high. I think either of these numbers prior to December hitting are not completely unreasonable. That would only be assuming that CPI hits that 80ish, 3,880ish number, you're only asking for 400, let's call it 500 points. It sounds like a lot, but 4137 or 4176 to the low there, that's 700 points almost, 673 points. So you're asking for a smaller move in honesty, but I do think it'll happen a little rapidly. Now to the upside, because I could very well be very wrong. Uh, I'm just a scalper. If we do run the highs of last week, I would look for us to target 39.68, and breaking that, I think we start to get into the 41.48 number, that being the year-to-date halfback, and that is above that major backfill we had. Going back to here, that is above this major backfill. And once you break that, we start flirting with the idea of this 4,300 area. So to me, this is quite an important area. Once you start breaking into that 4,000 number, there's not much that stops you to going to 4140-ish, and then again towards 4,300. To the downside, though, what I really think we get is a backfill sometime around CPI. I'm expecting a quieter Monday session as we kind of just churn around waiting for the Tuesday congressional election stuff, and even that won't be a crazy session. And then Wednesday when we really get the backfill and sell off, and we can go from there. But that's how I'm looking at the week. Hope that helps. If there are any changes to this, there might be a few minor ones before Monday's open. But for the large part, looking at a backfill around that quarterly VWAP and all those other major structural levels down to below our pivot on the week and the crap out scenario. Hope that helps. As I said, changes on Twitter. Trade safe, you guys. Might be a good idea to avoid Thursday entirely. I know I will. Yeah, trade safe.